All right, hey everybody. I'm Paul. Can you hear me okay? Okay, let's all give a round of applause for Kyle, the AV guy, who's going to put my slides up right now, and Rootly for hosting. There we go. Wow. See, Kyle's on it. Well, I'm Paul. I'm the founder of Browserbase. We help AI automate and navigate the web. And I'm going to give us just a short talk on, it's not, attention isn't all you need. The browser is all you need. And specifically, the browser MCP server is all you need. But first, a little bit about Browserbase. What we do is we're building a web browser for AI. Now, when you're using AI, it's going to go out and do work on your behalf. And a lot of the work that you and I do is in a web browser browsing the web. So Browserbase powers that web browsing infrastructure. You need to have a web browser for AI to kind of go navigate the web. And if you build it yourself, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of like little systems involved. With Browserbase, we give you thousands of browsers for your AI to access, and you just control it using an MCP server or some code. But first of all, I want to talk about MCP. You know, Browserbase is the #1 browser automation MCP server. Turns out this MCP thing is kind of a big deal. And you can kind of see that, you know, I think we know what MCP is like. We've been working on MCP since actually like when it was announced in November of 2024. So I'm going to give some MCP hot takes. If you believe me, I care about MCP. We do a lot of browser automation stuff. I have some hot takes on MCP. Specifically, you know, when I think about MCP and I think about the things you may want to do online, you know, you may be trying to use a lot of acronyms. I think someone said that in the last panel. You want to use OpenAPI or A2A or MCP, but you got to start with your use case. What is your agent trying to do? It's trying to do something on your behalf. Well, why don't you just have it use the website? And I really want to think about like MCPs as kind of two types of categories. The browser is like the default MCP server for the rest of the internet. You don't need to have a MCP tool for every single website. And frankly, you're just not going to, right? Do you really think the SF Pets Adoption Agency is going to have an MCP server? And if you want your agent to help you adopt a cute little cat, I don't think they're going to have one of those. You're going to have to use some sort of other tool. And that's where I think the browser should be the MCP server you always are adding to your application. I feel really strongly about that. And you really can't automate anything with the browser. I saw this tweet today. I'm glad I made these slides late. Evan here was like, hey, I want to have this agent order me a dinner. So what he did is he actually pulled in a browser MCP server alongside a credit card server powered by Stripe and actually generated a credit card in a one-time use. You can see here he's kind of doing this within the Claude desktop app, and went out and ordered something. Now this restaurant he's going to order from doesn't have an API. It's not on DoorDash. He wanted to get his special salad, and he gave his agent control of a browser. And I kind of want you to start thinking about like, what are these primitive tools that agents need? Code generation, file storage and management, browsing, image processing. Those are the primitive MCP servers where there's a ton of opportunity for you to be building in. And if you don't see an MCP server built for one of these primitives or really working well, that's your chance to go build something great. You can see here his MCP is, or his agent is controlling the browser with MCP. It's filling in an actual credit card. Don't use that. Just kidding. It was deactivated. And it's going to go buy him his lunch. And of course, you know, MCP servers are definitely helping people cook, or at least not cook in this case, right? And when you kind of think about like, what are these primitives that MCPs need to browse the web, we kind of thought of three. One is like a navigate tool. Hey, given a URL, where should I point my browser to? Two is an act tool. I want to take an action on this page. I want to write to this website. Maybe that's filling in a form or clicking a button. So navigate and act. Three is extract. I want to extract some structured data from a page. This is, of course, a really strong part of LLMs, taking unstructured data like web pages and extracting it into structured data. And then finally is observe. This is really important for agents that are browsing the web. They want to anchor themselves. You kind of sometimes look at a page and you're not sure what to do, but your agent might want to take an observation of the page. Tell me what's on this page before actually taking an action. And that could be multimodal. Maybe it's image, maybe it's text. Your agent needs a browser tool. That's the #1 thing. This is another demo from Twitter I saw where someone used a Browserbase MCP server to go ahead and book a flight. Now, I think I'm personally a little tired of the order the food, the book a flight. I love seeing these really niche use cases like, hey, I'm building an agent to automate KYC compliance for companies in Mexico. Or we had this really interesting one where a company was trying to help speed up the visa application process in Australia. If you're an agent builder out there, don't go for the obvious stuff. Go find the little underloved use cases that people are building for and go attack that. That's where you can use primitives to really power it. And I kind of think about like two types of MCP servers. There's the vertical server, and that's kind of tightly coupled to a downstream service. Like your linear MCP, it's going to update your linear tickets, right? Like very straightforward. I think eventually there'll be MCP servers for very large, companies like the Delta Airlines MCP server. You might not need to build the flight booker AI agent. Instead, the Delta Airlines MCP server will make that one click. But there's really this interesting horizontal servers too, where they're going to offer generic capabilities for AI agents. And these are often powered by infrastructure companies. Email, if you need your agent to send an email, Resend might be providing the MCP server to offer this kind of infrastructural primitive. Browsing with Browserbase and of course payments with Stripe are just a few examples that come to mind. And I look at the opportunity like this. If you're building a vertical MCP server, that's going to be the tip of the long tail, where there's going to be a lot of high volume usage of the Delta Airlines flight booker. But if you're building horizontal MCP servers, that's serving the very long tail, where you can capture, and I believe this long tail is actually very thick and fat, because you can capture all these niche use cases that aren't going to have dedicated MCP servers for them. Is everyone getting that? The vertical versus horizontal? Nod your heads, hopefully. Okay, I'm seeing a few heads nods, great. So think about that if you're building MCP servers. I think you kind of want to be in one of these two camps. Don't try and do everything. I have a few other hot takes on MCPs. Yeah, they love this meme. MCPs are going to have to pass compliance. So if you are building an MCP server and you're selling to enterprise, there's going to be a CISO that's like, what does this thing do? Is it SOC 2? Is it processing my PII? And I think that dynamic tool discovery, or this idea where your agent is going to have access to like infinite MCP servers and load one on demand, it just is never going to fly with security teams. They want to know exactly what MCP servers you're using. You're going to have a list of those specifically. And I wouldn't build for a world where dynamic tool discovery is mainstream, because getting approval for each MCP server is going to be hard. It's like onboarding new software. If you've bought software in enterprise before, going through procurement sucks, right? You have to get all this information. And I think these horizontal MCP servers might actually have an opportunity here, because instead of buying 10 vertical AI MCP servers, you can just buy one horizontal and do your procurement once. So think about that. This is really a talk built for the people building MCP servers here, and maybe the people who are investing in them or thinking about them. These are some open questions that I really have about MCP. I'm really curious who's building the next JS of MCP servers. Like, what's the template that we're deploying, that we're using? Is that infra? Is that a framework? I think the tooling here can be improved, and if you're started building this, Yoko will invest, probably. Okay, how will AI agent auth be solved? Quote, please don't pitch me your startup. Like, I actually am very curious, is it a startup that's solving this? I kind of believe that authentication companies are well positioned here, but MCP auth is a thing, AI agent auth is a thing. It feels like authentication is a topic that we all need to agree upon, but it really has feel like it's still unsolved, and there's a lot of hacks that people are doing. And finally, what I really think about all the time is like, what does the future of software look like? Software to me in the future is software doing work on our behalfs. It's not going to be a chat interface, within TurboTax. It's going to be a button that you click and it files your taxes for you. And that's this really beautiful future of software where we're not building chat widgets or little tools. We're building more powerful buttons that if you click it, it does some magic. And if you're interested in that future of software, you could start building with Browserbase. We do have an MCP server, and I'd highly recommend you checking it out. If you are building an AI agent, it's on GitHub. Just cross 1,000 stars. Let's go. And if you want to build the future of software with us, we are hiring. But I would love to open it up to some questions about MCP or hot takes on MCP. And otherwise, thank you for listening to me. I really appreciate it.
Question? Just one or two?
Can I see some demos that your browse use can do something amazing?
Yeah, let me pull this up afterwards. I'm not ready to live demo today. Normally I'm a live demo guy, but last minute slides, so.
Just one more.
Yeah, about horizontal browser MCP. But imagine I have one MCP and it was approved, but then it goes and signs up for a bunch of SaaS tools and connects my prod databases.
Yeah, if you're building a horizontal MCP server, you need to have guardrails for people to limit what can do. So you probably need to have some sort of your horizontal MCP server needs to have a whitelist. Like maybe if you're using the email horizontal MCP server, it can only send email to these domains. So I still think horizontal MCP servers need some sort of authorization or limits. They can't be unbounded, but that's more of a feature within a horizontal MCP server, not like a thing you need to stack on top of others. Yeah, I don't think we do, but hey, man, it's 6 months old. We'll get there. Feature requests. Well, I think we're out of time for questions.
It's just maybe next time, or maybe email him.
Email me, Paul at
yes.
Browserbase. But thank you guys so much. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Okay.
Next will be Sylvan.